these could be inadvertent, accidents, but most of them are willful cuts. An individual can actually set out to cut off communication line, not minding, its consequences on society. It's really, really sad. So the protection of this infrastructure is certainly something that we should very much spend time to ponder on and really address as holistically as we can. Unfortunately, when you are talking about national infrastructure that is spread all over the country, it is not possible, it's not humanly possible to guard and safeguard these things all over the place. So, just like the NEPA lines Aziz discussed now, you couldn't possibly guard all the entire thousands of kilometers of these lines emanating from the generation stations to where they are distributed. So the only thing is what the Minister of Information is doing now, getting complete buy-in on a national level. Let us all understand that these things belong to us. Let's take ownership of these things so that together we can look out on their protection. There are many threats that afflict the telecommunications infrastructure in our country, unfortunately. I've already mentioned the issue of vandalization, but there is also the issue of theft. People go to communication sites to steal generators, batteries, solar cells, diesel, cables, anything. Anytime a site goes down, people in that environment are automatically denied service. But unfortunately, sometimes it goes beyond even that. There are times when that site could actually be a route to hundreds or tens of other sites. That means when it goes down, all those sites also equally go down. So there is definite need for all stakeholders to get a fair understanding of the issues at hand and commit to a joint engagement in protecting them. In normal circumstances, where you have an infrastructure delivery service, one way to ensure it is available is to ensure that you have what is called redundancy. Redundancy in technical terms simply means providing more than one way to do the same thing. In communications, for instance, you could have a wireless transmission link, and you could also have a fiber cable that links the different points. You could equally have a satellite beaming the same coverage in the same region. So all these redundancies add together to actually ensure that you don't suffer disruptions. Unfortunately, again, like the minister has said, it's not easy to do this kind of thing when even the primary has not yet fully covered the whole country. You don't begin to talk about redundancy. But I must say that in my 33 years of work in this sector, I believe this current administration has done more to actually address these gaps than almost all previous administrations that I have witnessed. So I think it's commendable that this is happening, and I particularly would like to give credit to the current Minister of Communications, who is really on a sprint to ensure that, every conceivable service is brought into the country. I will probably conclude later by pointing out some of the things that are on the horizon, but for now, I would probably like to share with you some statistics that we have in respect of the disruptions of service due to vandalization. Like I mentioned earlier, you could have service outage arising from fiber cuts. It could happen from denial of service issues, denial of access to sites, theft. But we equally have another very important area of challenge, which is that of multiple taxations and multiple regulations. Again, here what happens is you have certain administrations introducing charges or taxes or regulations that don't necessarily align with what is already on ground. So you end up having an entity paying for the same thing more than once. It actually brings about a lot of disharmony, and it leads to closure of sites, again leading to disruptions of services. In some instances, certain administrations actually go to the extent of shutting down sites that really affect not just their areas, but other states as well. Between January to July this year, there were a total of about 6,500 incidents of outages in MTN alone, close to 1,000 in Globacom, close to 3,000 in 9Mobile, arising just from fiber cuts. You know, cuts arising from either road constructions or willful cuts by vandals. In the same period, we've also had denial of access to sites, again numbering to the same figure, more or less, totaling close to 8,000 such denials. And close to 3,000 cases of thefts. Like I mentioned, it's not possible. You see, we have close to 50,000 sites spread across this country. It is not possible to guard all of this effectively. We have to rely on the society, understanding the necessity of this and acting as one to defend and protect them. So, if you have a well-protected environment, the advantages that arise from this kind of thing include having economic growth in the digital economy driven by enhanced services that these protected environments provide. It is certainly something that guarantees social security because, as you can see, it actually provides for not just normal communications, but emergency communications as well as communications for banks and other economic services. So disrupting this certainly does affect economic activity. So on the options on the way forward, like I said, we need continuous stakeholder buy-in, national sensitization and awareness, collaboration between the security forces. Equally, the National Assembly can do well to speedily designate and gazette the telecommunication infrastructure as critical national infrastructure by passing the Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill, the CNI bill. It will also work well for governments to be involved in the planning and provision of, to involve the industry in planning and execution of road constructions, because this will lead to provision of ducts. Where you provide ducts, this infrastructure is a little bit better protected because it becomes less visible and less accessible. Effective collective monitoring and protection by all Nigerians to commit to not to vandalize and to equally stand guard and report any acts of vandalism. There is also promise in the in the emerging technologies of the future. A lot of us here may be aware that the federal government has just given the approval for the Commission to introduce 5G services into the country, which we hope to do as early as January 2022. With this, surveillance services will become more effective. There are new services coming in also as low Earth satellites that tend to beam signals covering regions more intensely. So this provides perhaps a solution in the very near future to at least surveillance. However, surveillance will only reveal something going wrong. Something must still be done to actively arrest and stop it. And this is where definitely the security forces will continue to remain relevant. The other challenges include, solutions include the governments actively participating in bringing down the cost of service, which will now allow investment into the sector that will permit a lot of the redundancy that can permit us to at least suffer the vandalization by having alternatives. So such as right of way, environmental impact assessments, delays in site permits, and the rest can go a long way in addressing this. I thank you very much for listening.
We thank the Executive Commissioner, Technical Services of the NCC for his presentation. Can we once more, ladies and gentlemen, put our hands together for Ubale Maska for the presentation on behalf of his Honorable Minister. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are supposed to immediately go into the question and answer session, but we will digress a little. We have amongst us here the representative of the Senate President, and he is the chairman, Information in the Senate. He's always around with us. We'd want to listen to him. We want to hear him. What has the Senate got to do to help us out in this vandalization? So permit me, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to now invite Senator Nanladi Sankara to please come forward and give us the little message from the Senate President, and thereafter he does his intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, Deputy Governor, members of the National and State Assembly, Honorable Minister of Information, DGs of parastatals of information, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The Senate President, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, CON, could have been here personally to attend this important town hall meeting. But he is not here with us today due to unavoidable reasons. For other national assignment, he asked me to represent him and present his address. Your Excellency, it is pleasing to be part of this town hall meeting, which is the third in the series of the Ministry of Information is holding. I congratulate the ministry for their resilience and focus on the much needed question of creating awareness on protecting critical infrastructure. I reckon the ministry has already done 2 town hall meetings on 2 different things. The first was on road, bridges, railways, and aviation. The second on oil, gas, while this third event is on serious focuses on power and telecommunication infrastructure. The initiative of Embark on Exercise is good move against the tendency of some ill-informed citizens to destroy national assets, forgetting that they are a part owner of this asset. We may say some of these actions are born out of ignorance, or that those elements sponsor them, but fact remains that perpetrators need to be reminded of the primary essence of these infrastructures. Infrastructures are the bedrock of development because they provide the ground for the sustenance of social, economic, and political activities, which will then lead an increase in employment and well-being of the people. It is for this reason that the present administration has consistent in developing infrastructure, realizing its potential of national transformation. And also, the more reason we have to do all we can do to protect them as citizens. Protecting them among the taking responsibility as people who are concerned about the progress and development of our nation, and who are ready to make input through doing the right things. The importance of power and telecommunication infrastructure that the ministry is now examining cannot overemphasize, considering its role in the trade, commerce, social, and political relations. At this stage, our development, it is imperative to take our destiny in our hands. And the reason I commend the Ministry of Information for taking this initiative against the background of the ongoing campaign for a national rebirth. I urge us to take the message from this event seriously, which is protecting our property and refraining from joining vandals. For our short and long-term personnel and collective benefit, and also for future generations. It is on our note that I wish all successful deliberation and journey mercy afterward. God bless all. God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria. President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, PhD, CON. Thank you very much.
We thank Senator Danladi Sankara, who is Chairman Information, and also the representative of the Senate President. The Senate President, as we all know, is a member from this geopolitical zone. So what is happening is affecting him.
Esteemed viewers,
so Your Excellency,
suggestions on the way forward to protect power and telecommunication infrastructure are coming in, which suggests that you don't seem to know the value of what you have until you lose it. From the TCN, we heard that there have been losses to infrastructure amounting to hundreds of millions of naira and power supply to various communities who would have known that one tower destroyed cost more than 100 million, a total of 110 million, and the total number of transmission lines destroyed along Maiduguri-Damaturu, 5 towers, cost a total whopping 880 million naira, which necessitates this town hall meeting to set agenda to reject the responsibility of community and citizens to own up and protect power and critical infrastructure.
The floor would soon be open, but before we declare the floor open, Your Excellencies, a lot of people, as I've told you that this program is live, a lot of people have been calling, asking us about the website where they can tune in so that they have this information and know also how to send in their own questions. So may I quickly call on my colleague, Samson, to please read out the site addresses so that people continue to follow us before we go into the question and answer. Samson.
Your Excellency, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, like they say, information is power. Correct information brings clear thinking, and clear thinking helps people to make sound judgment. For all the presentations that we've had here today, for those who may want to avail themselves the opportunity of having to see all those presentations, the ministry's website is www.fmic.gov.ng. Once again, I repeat, www.fmic.gov.ng. Our ministry's Facebook page is FMIC Nigeria. Once again, the ministry's Facebook page is FMIC Nigeria. Please avail yourselves the opportunity of seeing actually all the activities of today. I want to thank you for your time. Mr. Dama, please.
Thank you, Samson. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have said that it is now question and answer. Mr. Lanre Obadiah, the official MC of the state, would moderate this session. So may I now invite him to please come forward to do the moderation for the question and answer. Obadiah.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols respectfully observed. We are going into the question and answer session, but before we allow everybody in the audience to signify their intention to make comments by raising their hands. We will first begin from the traditional institution. And it is my privilege and pleasure to request His Royal Highness, the Shehu of Borno, on behalf of the entire traditional institutions in Borno State, to kindly make the first comment. Your Royal Highness, Alhaji Dr. Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbe Alamin El Kanemi CFR. Thank you. Microphone, please.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and the Merciful, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, Your Excellencies, the Deputy Governor, distinguished senators, and right honorable members of the House of Representatives here present, Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Honorable Minister of State for Agri, Alhaji Mustafa Baba Shehuri, other honorable ministers here present, Right Honorable Speaker, Borno State House Assembly, and right honorable members of the House of Assembly here present, the Secretary to the State Government, Head of Service, Chief of Staff, Theater Commander, and other service chiefs here present, representative of the Chief Judge and Grand Kadi, the Royal Highnesses, our Royal Fathers here present, former governors, deputy governors, former ministers, members of press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm highly delighted to address this important town hall meeting, which is seek to find solution to the continuous destruction of power supply to Maiduguri and its environs by suspected members of Boko Haram elements. Power supply from the national grid to Maiduguri was destroyed since January this year, where these criminals deliberately bombed some towers, leaking the state capital, and a sabotage effort made by the government to restore it back. I learned that last week, more towers were also destroyed, when similar efforts were put in place to restore the supply lines. I personally believe that these criminals have collaborators within the city center and the surrounding communities. Hence, they must be found and face the law, the consequences of the law. The residents of Maiduguri are currently living in complete darkness and solely rely on power generators for survival and business activities. This has greatly affected small-scale businesses and generally created untold hardship to the people. Today, I'm happy that the office of the Secretary to the Government of Borno State and the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture are collaborating to come up with appropriate measures to address the problem of vandalizing these towers and restore power supply to Maiduguri. It is my sincere hope that at the end of this meeting, an effective means of safeguarding the facilities and investigating those responsible for these inhuman acts will be addressed. I wish us all successful discussions and pray that power supply is restored to Maiduguri soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much to His Eminence, the Shehu of Borno. We now move on, and all other speakers that I'll be inviting will please kindly come up to the podium here, as this program has been announced, is live, and the benefit of their being seen will be appreciated. Meanwhile, the cameramen in front, will you please kindly rearrange yourselves? Thank you. The next person to speak now will be talking on behalf of the Borno Elders Forum. And it is my pleasure to invite the secretary of the Forum of Borno Elders and the person of Alhaji Dr. Bula Amali Gubio, MNI, who will be speaking on behalf of the members of the Borno Elders Forum. As it's coming up, I would like to let us know that all individuals and organizations who may have submissions to present, and you have come with them, the State Director of the National Orientation Agency will be collecting them from you. The Secretary Borno Elders Forum, please.
Your Excellency, our Governor, Your Excellency Deputy Governor, Yashidi Kanma, His Royal Highness the Shehu of Borno, all Minister, all other protocol observed. The Borno Elders Forum welcomes our august leaders to Maiduguri. We are indeed happy to note and appreciate the great attention our state is receiving from our Nigerian leaders and institutions over our current challenges. We particularly appreciate our President, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, and our dogged and pragmatic governor, Professor Bana Omar Zulum, for their sustained struggles to free us from the bondages we are subjected to by terrorists and their collaborators. We are indeed grateful. As it is, Borno has become a special child of the federal government, a child with special needs. We therefore require further special attention. Our fellow Nigerians appreciate our predicaments and support us in overcoming them. Peace and prosperity in any part of Nigeria are for all Nigerians. We note with great sense of satisfaction our President granting constant audiences to our Governor over our challenges. Thank you, Mr. President. Today's gathering is one such wonderful support we receive from the federal government. Borno, particularly Maiduguri, the state capital, has been cut off from the national grid for nearly a year. This is not only uncomfortable, but extremely dangerous and portends trouble for attaining peace. Power supply is not necessarily for the comfort of the people, but it is a great requirement for economic growth and driving employment for the multitudes of our youth and entrepreneurs. Our economy, which has been devastated for more than a decade now, comes to a standstill. Small, medium, and large-scale industries have to generate their own power supply. Alas, their wherewithal to generate power had been exhausted and therefore no longer possible. While generating set and solar panels merchants are making brisk business, the existing generating sets, where available, are packing up. New ones are beyond reach of the entrepreneur. Fueling of generators becomes an impossible burden, which even the state may find it very difficult to continue. Deforestation has increased in alarming rate as wood becomes the only available source of energy. Total desertification of the arid zone is imminent. The insurgents and their collaborators had since discovered that disrupting power supply to Borno is the most painful punishment they can inflict on the state. They are therefore hell-bent to frustrate any effort to restore the power lines they willfully destroyed. Government needs to seriously investigate the activities of those making fortunes from this scenario. For too long in this country, power generation has been sabotaged by importers, suppliers, and sellers of generating sets. I suddenly watched a program on TV where a mechanic was expressing his happiness and joy over the windfall of repairing broken down generators in Maiduguri. Those who see the insurgency as an industry will continue to sabotage public power supply. When the NNPC recently announced a special intervention for Borno State, we felt greatly relieved. We hope that intention should come to fruition. God Almighty has blessed us with abundant sunshine. Many countries with populations the size of Northeast Nigeria solely depend on solar power. The federal government needs to, as a matter of grave emergency, establish a polar power station to adequately cater for the needs of the state. The state government also needs to provide a secure environment for the project. We also need to provide local security for such a project via employing, in addition to the military and police, employing our brave and patriotic civilian JTM members to keep security of the plants. They should be trained and sufficiently equipped to guard and protect the plants. In this regard, they should be properly remunerated. We are once again pleased to welcome this positive leadership and pledge our support and prayers as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary Borno Elders Forum, Alhaji Dr. Bula Amali Gubio. I've just been told that when we come up here to make presentations, we should try as much as possible to concentrate on asking questions or making direct comments so that this event will not run for necessarily too long. Having said that, I'd like to invite to come up to the podium the chairman of the Borno Yobe Forum in Abuja and the person of architect Ibrahim Bunu, former Minister of Works, former Minister, Federal Capital Territory. Architect Ibrahim Bunu, please. As he comes up, I'd like to remind us once again that those who have come up with written positions, please submit them to the State Director of the National Orientation Agency. They will be collated appropriately and forwarded to the Honorable Minister. Thank you. Architect Ibrahim Bunu, please.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umaru Zulum, Your Excellency, the representative of the Senate President, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Honorable Ministers, Your Royal Highness, Your Royal Highnesses, permit me to stand on the established protocol. I would like to start by thanking the Minister of Information for recognizing and inviting us as stakeholders in this town hall meeting today. May I first briefly introduce the mission and objectives of Borno Yobe Forum, Borno Yobe People's Forum in Abuja. The forum is a non-partisan, non-ethnic, non-religious association of concerned citizens of Borno and Yobe states in Abuja, including our National Assembly members. And we are supported by our governors, the Governor of Borno and the Governor of Yobe. The forum has always kept in touch with our people at home, and we show concern anytime either of the states is affected by any adversity or any happiness. On several occasions, we have sent materials, relief materials for distribution to the affected people and held meetings with the governors of the two states. Your Excellency, honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that many lives and properties were lost since the advent of Boko Haram in 2009. Without going too much into details on how the insurgency started and how successful administrations approached the containment to no avail, it is not far-fetched to authoritatively say that Borno State has been under siege for the last 12 years. The present administration inherited this unfortunate situation despite all previous efforts. We all know hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost and millions have been displaced from their communities. This coupled with the deliberate destruction of livelihoods by the insurgents. Consequently, communities have not been able to access their farmlands, and this resulted in acute food scarcity and systemic destruction of the economies of the affected communities. The Forum wholeheartedly appreciates that this administration has done a lot by rescuing all the local government areas under the control of the Boko Haram. It is equally worth noting that a lot has been achieved with neighboring countries of Cameroon, Chad, and Niger under the multinational joint task force to fight the insurgency. Millions of livelihoods and public and private infrastructure has been destroyed. We are not new to the destruction of their infrastructure like hospitals, schools, offices, complexes, water infrastructure, telecommunication, among other things. We are equally concerned about new traits of Boko Haram and ISWAP, the vandalization of public infrastructure like power transmission lines and telephone masts, among others. It is on record that Borno and Yobe states are the least developed, least patronized states in terms of infrastructural facilities. The doom and darkness caused by lack of electricity supply and its profound effects on Maiduguri and environment are well known to the nation. Maiduguri and environment have been without electricity for nearly a year, and despite the concerted efforts of the federal government in restoring power supply, unfortunately, all efforts are being undermined by Boko Haram and ISWAP by destroying more transmission towers. The renewed efforts by Boko Haram to see Borno in darkness perpetually must stop, as the government, the military, and citizens must devise a new strategy on the protection of these critical infrastructure. We would like to suggest that government should put more effort in upgrading and construction of new infrastructures in Borno because of the original deficiency. Most of the federal roads in these states, in Borno and Yobe, particularly in Borno, are not motorable. E.g., the road between Maiduguri, Bama, Gwaza, Askira, road between Maiduguri, Mongono, Baga, Kukawa, road between Bama, Maiduguri, Dikwa, Marte, Dikwa, Gambaru, and Maiduguri, Biu, Howell, Kwayakusar, all have been unmotorable for a long time. and these are all federal roads. We had the opportunity when the governor, His Excellency the Governor of Borno, led the Borno Yobe Forum along with the members of the Borno Elders Forum to the President. We had this opportunity to mention all this, but it is not out of place to mention them still. Efforts to install an independent power supply by NMPC is noted with great satisfaction. We pray that comes to materialization quickly. Similarly, we note efforts by the federal government and international community to transfer, for water transfer from the Congo Basin to the Lake Chad Basin. That will take a long time. We therefore request for an interim measure to alleviate the suffering of the communities on the fringes of the Lake Chad. For the federal government to negotiate with the Republic of Cameroon on regular release of water through River Logone River, rather than the disturbing occasional spillover from Cameroonian dams. Well, I have to say this because I come on the fringes of Lake Chad. It is a fact that several villages and hamlets were destroyed by the insurgency, and efforts made towards their resettlement should consider creation of mega villages by bringing together a number of such small villages. This way, they become large enough to justify for allocation of security and social amenities so that they can have a well-protected and better living. May I take this opportunity to also digress a little. The vandalization by the insurgency is a recent development. But vandalization is an incident is very new to northern Nigeria, and particularly to this region. And this culture of vandalization emerged as a result of the attitudes of the Nigerian elites, I am included. We have this insatiable greed for acquisition, particularly those who found opportunities to serve in public offices. We are insensitive to the plight of our people. That itself is a byproduct of our forgetting our traditional lifestyles. When the communities and the traditional institution took charge of community and the checks and balances were efficient. As the Minister of Culture, may I appeal to the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, my very good and long-time friend, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, to consider this subject of fighting corruption and with enforcement of laws. Modernization is everywhere in the world. In parts of the world where the modernization has taken place and they are efficient, they have very rigid laws against corruption. We must see that laws fight and insist on accountability from our leaders, our representatives. To suggest that the government should put more effort in upgrading and construction of new infrastructure in Borno and Yobe states. I would like to continue by saying efforts to install, that the efforts made by the federal government and the international community on water transfer from Congo Basin to Lake Chad Have I read that one? No. Similarly, it says, the effort is there from the federal government and the international community to transfer water from Congo Basin to Lake Chad. That is a long-term program. The last time governments met on this was 2018, when they appointed consultants. In the interim, that's why I said regular releases for water from the dams of Cameroon. The forum appreciates the passion, commitment so far exhibited by the Borno State Governor and the federal government in the services of our people. While we continue to pray for God's guidance and protection for our people, we strongly believe that urgent and immediate action must be taken to end the insurgency and relocate the displaced persons to their ancestral homes and restore their means of livelihood so as to claim our well-known slogan, Borno, the home of peace. We are very optimistic that the federal government will take urgent and immediate actions. We, the people of Borno Yobe State, will continue to contribute our quota to the protection of critical infrastructure by supporting the civilian JTF and community protection units while praying for the Almighty Allah's intervention in this matter for immediate resolution. I thank you for your attention.
I hope we are not getting right on this very important town hall meeting. Looking at the heading of this town hall meeting, it reads as follows: Town hall meeting to address the destruction of power and communication infrastructure on Thursday, 23rd September 2021 at Multipurpose Hall. And therefore, there is a need for us to address why we are here, which is very important. Some of the pertinent questions that we need to ask is that, what effort is the Ministry of Power and indeed your agency TCN is doing or making in place to halt this destruction? These are some of the most important questions. We are not here for lamentations. Who does what? This is a very important question. Who does what? The role of the community, the role of the government, the role of the federal government, the role of the state government, the role of the security agencies, and the role of the CBOs, as well as the traditional rulers. Yes, we have the 330 kVA line, which was destroyed for the first time, for the second time, and for the third time. Can we continue like this? No. I asked the Ministry of Housing and Energy to convey my advice to the Federal Ministry of Power and indeed to TCN to stop rehabilitating the lines. Why? Because we cannot halt the destruction. If this destruction continues like this, it means Borno State will not see electricity for the next 10 years. Going by your own statistics, the quantum of money that is required to rehabilitate one tower, then what alternatives are you providing? We have the existing 132 kVA line. Again, we have the 33 kVA line, which is very easier for us to rehabilitate in case of any destruction. So let's go straight to the point. I hope the gathering here, especially the intellectuals, may wish to cross-fertilize ideas on how we can resolve this situation rather than lamentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think...
Thank you, Your Excellency, for bringing us back to track. Though we listen to everybody and we jot down, we take it. But Your Excellency, the Excellency has already spoken. If you are coming up to the podium or you are raising your hands to ask questions, please ask direct question. What are you doing in this sector? How do we handle this so that we move forward? I have told you we are being watched all over the world. So let us please be on track. Thank you.
Thank you. Now that that has been sorted out, we go on and call the next person to talk. And please, it should be direct, either questions, comment, because eventually the Honorable Minister and the panel up here will want to respond to some of our questions. Having said that, I now like to invite the State Manager, Telecommunication Infrastructure Providers in Borno State, and the person of Baba Musa Tafida to quickly come up. State Manager, Telecommunication Infrastructure Providers, Baba Musa Tafida. Is he ready? He's not here? Then you need to come up, be as fast as possible. We are on live. Well, give him the microphone. Give him the microphone. It will take time to come up here. And while Baba Musa Tafida will be addressing us, we'll be waiting for the chairman, Borno Emirate Concerned Citizens Forum, Zana Boguma, after that. Not for long speeches, but for direct questions, suggestions, and solutions. Thank you, Baba Musa Tafida.
Hello. All right. Thank you, sir. As you have already introduced me, my name is Baba Musa Tafida. I am from Buratai. I also a stakeholder in Borno State. I am the state manager for IHS. We are into infrastructure building. We provide the towers that you see around you, which MTN, Glo, Etisalat, and the others use. So, sorry. My own is that we, in the infrastructure companies, we are grateful, very grateful to the state government, to the federal government, and all the people of goodwill who assist us in providing peace and tranquility in order for us to expand. Our focus is on northern Borno now. By God's grace, inshallah.
Can we have your question, please?
It's not,
directly to your comment.
It is not a question. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. I am not here to ask a question. I am here to introduce myself, sir, so that, all right. Sorry.
I'm sorry we are not intimidating you. It's just that we are being mindful of time and the need to be very precise. The next person to speak is Hassan Zanna Boma, who is the chairman of the Borno Emirate Concerned Citizens Forum. Please, quickly.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a democratic forum. Please, where is the gentleman who was introducing himself? Give him the microphone. Introduce yourself briefly before we take the other one. Thank you. Please. Are you done? Are you finished? Are you done? Are you finished? Okay, good. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency has raised fundamental questions here. And I would want us to revert to the panelists for them to answer those part of questions, after which we will come back for the second session. So, Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, may you invite the two panelists who are there to address the questions, the pertinent questions asked by His Excellency, so that we continue from there. Thank you.
Zana Boma will take you later. Let's take the Honorable Minister.
Your Excellency and all distinguished guests, I think the question that was raised by His Excellency as to what precisely the federal government is doing to further safeguard the power infrastructure in Borno State will be specifically addressed by the representative of the Honorable Minister for Power. So the engineer will come now and please address the issue. Thank you very much. You can stay here.
Okay. It's okay now. Your Excellency, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor, we have listened to your concern, and actually it is our own concern. But I want to assure you that the Ministry of Power is not resting on this issue. We have been trying to make sure that there is a power supply to Maiduguri. But there is one thing we noticed. The last time when we restored power to Maiduguri, and it was on the TV, and people were celebrating, just after 24 hours or 48 hours, the bundles went again and destroyed some towers. That's why we have a plan, but we don't want to bring it out here. That's why during my speech, I asked the journalists to please stop reporting vandalism, because we don't know where these news are going to, we don't know who is here, and we don't know what they will do if they know what we are planning. But I'm assuring you, sir, we have other ways to feed Maiduguri. And we're looking at all this. My colleague from the communication is talking about redundancy. We also in power sector, we have redundancy. We have almost 3 ways to feed Maiduguri, but we don't want to talk it in this forum. But I'm assuring you, sir, we are doing all our best, and very soon it's going to happen. On the issue of the NNPC, I want you, Your Excellency, to know that the Power Ministry is also involved in that. Because the plant they are going to build, we are the one that give them a site at our Baga Road substation. Also, it is our transmission line that is going to be used to distribute the light when they finish building the generation station. About also the solar, we are going to make sure that we have a solar grid in Maiduguri. So, Your Excellency, be rest assured that Ministry of Power is not sleeping. And especially as you have mentioned, this new minister is very proactive on this. He is from this part of the country, and he is putting a lot of effort. As you have said, he is always in touch with you on the phone. So, Your Excellency, we are doing our best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The first strategy is what has already commenced now, raising public awareness and getting buy-in of every Nigerian to either desist from destruction, vandalization, or to participate in the protection of infrastructure by actually being ready to report incidents of vandalization if you witness them. The second is this issue of passing the Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill at the level of the National Assembly, because that declaration will come along with it identification of stakeholders that will be charged with the protection of this, and there will be spelling of penalties for such destructions and the likes. On a more active side from the part of the government, I have also mentioned the fact that the Minister of Communications has granted approval for the introduction of new services, emerging services that are smarter technologies that are less susceptible to vandalization. Clearly, the low Earth orbit satellite facilities, when it comes in, is going to safeguard against, I mean, it won't be as something physically visible like the towers are. There will be earth stations, but there will be so few that they can be protected adequately compared to the large number of towers. A technology like the 5G, Your Excellency, will come along with less conspicuous transmission facilities. Like you may not need these tall masts to put the antennas because they are small cycles, so they can be hung in, on top of buildings. You know, they're smaller, so they are easier to protect because they will be in building kind of facilities. I want to also highlight the fact that last year, the Honourable Minister got the President to approve the new National Broadband Plan, under which have been defined targets of providing broadband infrastructure nationwide by the year 2025. And I'm happy to report that all the targets set in this plan are being achieved in a timely manner. There are challenges, but I'm also, I would like to state that these challenges are being addressed. Some of them are at the level of even state governments. Things about right-of-way, permits of sites, and things like that. There is also the need to ensure that new strategies are adopted in deploying infrastructure. For instance, this effort to introduce ducts will mean that we can have fibers that are hidden in ducts and less vulnerable to damage. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. We now go on to the person we called last, that is the chairman of the Borno Emirate Development Association, and the person of Zana Asamboma, to ask his questions and make his comments.
Power infrastructure. On the way forward on ways to protect power infrastructure from the stakeholders in the power sector, three ways to restoration of power to Maiduguri are in the offing, as well as strategies to protect fiber optic cables.
I'm not reading a speech, but I had some questions to ask.
Other suggestions are secure environment for infrastructure of power and telecommunications, local security to support military and other security agencies who should be properly remunerated. Federal government has been advised to establish solar power station for Borno State.
We have
citizens, communities and businesses who have been burdened by the blackout in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, also need to investigate those making fortunes from destruction of power infrastructure, necessary saboteurs of directly or indirectly ripping off the benefits of the people.
Need for the Ministry of Power to provide these gadgets so as to protect our services. High frequency alarm system also is needed to assist our security personnel in ensuring adequate monitoring and protection of the towers. There is also a need for the provision of auto alert system to send SMS to any nearby security outlets, and also provision of light dependent motion sensor to detect Boko Haram meters away before carrying out such deadly acts. There is also a need for the provision of surveillance system and vibration sensors to interrupt whatever sinister motive they have. And also we are calling on the federal government and the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy to direct network providers to fix their destroyed facilities in all the local governments and the metropolis. We are also demanding that network providers improve their services because customers in Borno are facing the nightmare of the influx of network failures in recent times. And finally, the most important is for us to engage ourselves in constant prayers, because whoever that has such bad intentions, whether collaborators or the Boko Haram, as we have been made to understand, I think the divine powers are above the power of a mortal. So therefore, we are appealing to His Excellency, our Governor, in collaboration with the Royal Highnesses, to engage the citizens in constant prayer for a lasting peace and for an end to these acts of vandalism. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all those your suggestions and recommendations. I saw you holding a paper. Can you please bring up that paper to us so that it is kept? And we do hope that you write to your governor also so that we pick it up all together. Thank you.
Thank you, Borno Emirate concerned citizens. Before we go into the hall to take other comments or questions that a few people might have, we would like to call the GSM Dealers Association Chairman. He has something to say. Is he around? GSM Dealers Association Chairman. Okay, please can you give him the microphone? He's right there at the center of the hall. No, it's just after. It's 5 minutes after one. Let us take two of them. We'll tell them short. Because there are many who want to talk. Please, we are waiting for you. Thank you.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Muna godiya da wannan lokaci da nuna mana na wannan abubuwan da aka shirya. A gaskiya ba abin da zamu ce wa gwamnatin Borno da mutanen da muke ciki da kuma irin haɗin kan da security suka ba da wannan ma tsaron wannan ƙasa. Kamar civilian JTF da fantas da su police abubuwan da suke gaskiya sai dai mu ce masu Allah ya saka masu kuma Allah ya karfafa su akan irin ayyukan da suke yi. Kamar shi gwamna irin abubuwan da yake kishinsa akan mutanen ƙasansa sai mu ce Allah ya saka da alkhairi.
Wait. To mun gode maka da gaisuwa da kuma alheri da kabarkace mu da shi. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, you know time is of essence. We will take just two more from the general public, after which we will close the question and answer session, please.
We are going to be democratic. We'll take first representing the women. Can we have from the female voices? Okay, we have a female there. Please take the microphone over to her so that we take the question. And from there, we'll come and take one at the back there and possibly a last one here. The time for afternoon prayers is approaching, so let us be fast. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aisha Umar, and I have 3 questions. All protocols observed. Your Excellencies, poverty is a veil that obscures the face of greatness. My question to the ministers is number 1. Is the Ministry of Information planning to have more engagement at the grassroots? As we know, this is high level and the problem actually emanates from the grassroots. So what can NOA do at the grass level to create awareness? My second question, has to do with unemployment. As you know, unemployment is a very big problem in Borno. And if we don't address unemployment, these kind of problems will continue. So what plans does federal government have for addressing unemployment amongst the youth? The third question is, what incentives can federal government give the communities that are hosting this infrastructure? You cannot go and install multi-billion naira infrastructure in poverty-stricken communities and expect the communities to protect them. You have to help those communities, please. And my final question is to do with timelines. How soon do we expect to see action? Thank you.
Thank you. Perhaps before the Honorable Minister will be answering the questions, because I understand we really don't have time. Maybe we'll just take one more. I understand Engineer Satome Ahmed has a question he wants to ask. If we take that, and then we'll revert back to the moderator. Engineer Satome Ahmed, please. Please give him the microphone. He's behind there. He's just coming in. Omar, please give him the microphone. Honorable member, please be as fast as you can.
Okay. Thank you, the uncle. Mine is a contribution, not an answer. I stand on the existing protocols, and I want to suggest that if we will going to look at it in a multi-dimensional way, that is looking at the non-kinetic solution to this vandalization that is happening. If you look at the modus operandi of this Boko Haram, how they normally used to destroy these towers, there is a signal that maybe they are sending a message, because if you look at it, the points of destruction are close by, always on one location. Instead, there are several towers even sited right inside Sambisa towards the Tumbutu triangles and the rest. So by sending it towards Ngamdu, Benishek, down to Mainok, simply they are signaling that they can be contacted. Maybe the DSS will supposed to be on the top approach to look at the non-kinetic solution and to engage them either in talking, so that we weigh the two and see, talking to them or not talking to them, what's the solution. So therefore, I think the the best way and the workable way for now is the non-kinetic solution, because we have been seeing the effort of the military from the 8 months to now. The kinetic solution does not give us the solution. So therefore, let's imbibe the multidimensional way to adopt the non-kinetic solution, so that we will have a lasting solution on that thing. And I'm sure the available intellect showing that there is a way to contact them and to approach and to start talking on that. Thank you very much.
Okay. We thank you most sincerely for all your suggestions, for all your questions, for all your contributions during this session. May I, first of all, clear with the Honorable Minister of Information. Honorable Minister, Galaxy Backbone are here. Some issues have been raised and they want to chip in. If you direct, I will ask Galaxy Backbone, if you are here, because you've just approached us now, please come forward quickly, chip in and say what you want to contribute on this matter so that we can hear you and see how far we can go. Galaxy Backbone, thank you.
Yes. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'm Adamu Umar Gokaru, the Executive Director of Finance, Galaxy Backbone. Director, Chief Executive Officer, Galaxy Backbone, Professor M.B. Abubakar, who is unavoidably absent for another state assignment. Galaxy Backbone was established by the federal government to provide network connectivity and infrastructural facilities for the communication industry. Questions was raised as regards to vandalization of mosques and so on. In line with this, the Honorable Minister for Communication and Digital Economy come up with a proposal that was blessed by the Federal Executive Council, and at present, Galaxy Backbone is currently extending fiber network to about 21 states of the Federation, covering about 341 kilometers of the fiber optic. And also, Galaxy Backbone at present is extending fiber metro for about 332 kilometers of road, cutting across 23 states of the Federation. And in all the two infrastructural development currently going on, Borno and the entire northeastern states are also going to benefit from the extension. And I have the belief that by the time the services are done, there is every tendency that the problem of vandalization and so on will be a thing of the past, inshallah. Similarly, by designing the telecommunication infrastructure as a national critical infrastructure, we have the belief that, inshallah, the problem will naturally become things of the past. However, where surveillance cameras are also installed in strategic locations for monitoring, I have the belief that it will also curtail the continuation of the vandalization. And Galaxy Backbone has the capacity to provide network connectivity for monitoring the solution for the infrastructure that can be hosted in the Tier 3, which is currently domiciled in Abuja, and can further be supported by the Tier 4, which is currently undergoing construction at Kano, and will further be supported by the Recovery Center at Lagos and Enugu. And with the collaboration of the security agencies and other stakeholders, we have the belief that, inshallah, there will be curtailment of the continuation of the destruction of the infrastructure. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Galaxy Backbone, thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the theater commander is here. He provides the security to all these installations. Honorable Minister and Your Excellency, the Executive Governor, with your permission, please, may we allow them say one or two things before we round up. Theater Commander, sir.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Borno State, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, the Honorable Minister of Information, our Royal Fathers, gentlemen, my name is Major General C.G. Musa, Theater Commander, Operation Hatninkai. I'm honored and privileged to be here. I actually initially didn't want to say a word, but I think it is important I mention this. Having been providing security all through, especially through the power line, we have reason to believe that there are saboteurs around that are making it impossible for this to be achieved. And I think it is important that they say charity begins at home. We need to look inward. There are certain individuals that are doing everything possible to ensure that that work is not completed for whatever reason. And so I want to call on His Excellency to get across the opinion leaders in those communities, especially around that area. They give information of our movements. They give information of what we do on a daily basis. We try as much as possible to maintain 24-hour surveillance, which is a difficult task. But as soon as we leave, information is passed around and things happen. So I think it is important that we look at those aspects. Secondly, on the issue of suggestions on my own part on, I think, the way forward, is to make the sales of these equipments and items being vandalized very difficult. There must be punitive punishments for anybody found selling those things. So the markets must be supervised. What is going on at the markets? One way out is we have carbon marking that could be placed on some of these equipments. We could give them different colors. We could carbon mark them so that any markets that these things are found, it should be traced. Who is bringing it? How does it get there? If we don't stop that, once there's a market for these things to be sold, individuals will continue. You know, there's a lot of poverty. People will want to vandalize those items for their own selfish interests. So I think for Operation Hatninkai, it is important that we all put heads together. We're here to ensure that that light starts because we are also suffering from it. We have a lot of equipment, we have a lot of missiles, both land, maritime, and air force with us, that we need to keep them at certain temperatures. And that's why it's important. So we're equally affected because economically we have to subject so much resources in ensuring that we run through generators 24 hours to ensure those things are kept at those temperatures. So I want to appeal that all the efforts we are making, we should look inward. All the imams, the ulamas, the leaders within those communities, there is so much we can do, and I'm sure if we all put heads together, we'll end this and there will be light in Maiduguri. Thank you very much.
We thank the theater commander for his suggestions and his remarks, and we do hope that we will carbon mark some of these our products so that if they are found anywhere, those with it would be dealt with. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are fast getting towards the end of this program. But before we go, permit me to now invite the moderator of this program, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, to please come forward and give the closing remarks as to what has taken place here today. Honorable Minister of Information, sir.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, please permit me to rely on the already severally established protocol. I will probably start my concluding remarks by proffering answers to
Mrs. Ajia Aisha Omar's questions. I wish we had more time because the DGNOA, who is here, would have been in a better position really to tell us not just what NOA is going to do to ensure that our message gets down to the grassroots, but actually what we've been doing. And I think NOA has been doing a lot in this respect to ensure that our messages, cascades down to the to the grassroots. It might interest you to know that NOA has presence in each of the 774 local governments in the Federation, and they are very busy. We receive every fortnight reports from each of the states coordinators on what is actually happening in the local government. And that is why it's easy for us to let you know the price of onion in any part of the country. We can tell you the price of palm oil, the price of granite oil, and our NOA monitors in each local government. They are very close to the national religious leaders, and they always give us advanced warning system on what is going on. As a matter of fact, their security report is extremely reliable. I wish we have time. I wish we have time. I would have spoken more about the NOA. Now, I think another question you raised was you wanted to know what the government is doing in terms of employment, because unemployment is actually one of the reasons why we have a lot of violence and a lot of very unpatriotic activities. Yes, I agree with you, Ajia, but you see, it's like chicken and egg. Without infrastructure, you simply can't have industries. Without infrastructure, you can't have optimum employment. Now, I think both the representative of the ministers of communication and power, they've also explained the connect between breakdown of this infrastructure and also the breakdown of industries. So we, as much as government will continue to want to employ, they can only do so when the infrastructure when the infrastructure is working. And this is why I gave in my address the various infrastructure projects this government has completed, and they are indirectly leading to employment. But the more we vandalize this infrastructure, the more unemployment we are going to have, either it's roads, whether it's bridges. So, like I say, it's like chicken and egg thing. We must take ownership of our infrastructure and ensure that the only way we can continue our growth is by protecting the infrastructure. It's one thing for us to provide, but I think the community also has responsibility to protect them. And that leads to the third leg of the question, which is what are we doing in areas where we have multi-billion, investment? What are we doing to protect them? Frankly speaking, only the people can protect this infrastructure. It's not possible for us without the cooperation of the citizens to do so. We've just been told now by the telecoms minister that we have about 50,000 sites. If we have just 2 policemen or 2 soldiers in each of these sites, 24 hours, we will need 100,000 of them. But let the people please take ownership of this infrastructure, in addition to what security is doing. But without the community taking ownership, we would not be able to succeed. And they should please understand that the immediate beneficiaries of this infrastructure are the people living there. Because they get the light, they get the jobs. So we'll continue on our own part as government to do our best, but please, I think the committee needs to do much more than they are doing now. I think you also asked this question about timeline. Now, I listened to the presentations of both keynote speakers, and I think what we have here, we are fighting an sensationalist war. The battle against terrorism, it's what is the key. And I must say that just like the power, Minister Executive said, we probably cannot see everything here. Honorable, His Excellency the Governor, just before we came here, said that if he had known, we have asked, he would not have wanted us to publicly announce the date of this particular town hall meeting. That as soon as we announced it, the terrorists went and they blew up 3 towers. So a lot is connected. I mean, a lot is actually hangs on security, along also hangs on strategy. But we will continue to work very closely with all stakeholders to ensure that Borno State and the entire country would finally overcome all its challenges. I thank you very much. Now, Your Excellency, I'm very satisfied and pleased with the outcome of this town hall meeting. And I thank all the panelists for their presentations, and I also thank all the contributors for their contributions. Your Excellency, you already set the stage for the presentations with a clear enunciation of the harrowing experiences of the people of the state due to the wanton destruction of power infrastructure. Shockingly, you said that within 24 hours after the repair of the damaged section of the transmission lines, the lines were destroyed again. And I think this is most painful, and this is actually what we are struggling with on a daily basis. But His Excellency did not just dwell on the problems. I think he also suggested solutions, such as deployment of technology to protect critical infrastructure. He also suggested continued sensitization of the citizenry, and also the involvement of all citizens in protecting public infrastructure. I think these are solutions which we believe are sustainable, and on our own part as a government, we take back to the federal government, and we would continue to act on them, especially on the issue of providing technology to monitor our critical infrastructure. But His Excellency also, again, announced some good news, especially the approval by the federal government on alternative power source, such as the thermal and the solar, and the fact that already, just a few weeks ago, this was launched, and that is expecting contractors to resume on the sites very soon. This will surely make what the people of Maiduguri and its environs, what they are going through now, it would actually bring it to a very quick end. Your Excellencies, I'm also happy that other presenters on behalf of the Honorable Ministers of Power and Minister of Communication and Economy also dwelt on possible solutions. The representative of the Honorable Minister of Power suggested the deployment of security surveillance system, ensuring no market for vandalized public assets. and also harsh penalty for vendors, and the appeal to the media not to sensationalize the activities of the vendors. I think these solutions go along the same sentiments of many people who made their contribution here today. For its part, the representative of the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy also suggested the need for redundancies. I think by redundancy, what he's saying is that they should plan for more than the need, at the moment, so that when they sabotage, he can quickly cover up for it. Vandalism, and of course, we have also been informed that there are other areas of sabotage. Vandalism, yes, but then what about theft, which is also a great source of vandalism? And it's also the issue of lack of access by the telecoms operators and also the power operators. And this, again, borders on insecurity. Of course, everybody, like him, also stressed the need for a continuous citizen engagement. Stakeholders buy-in, collaboration among security forces, and the enactment of the Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill. I think what everybody is actually saying is that it's revolving around community engagement, community involvement, and ownership of community is the only lasting solution to stop this kind of infrastructure. But people talk about how effective the security network is in the UK, for instance, or in the US. It's based largely on the fact that even that old woman, even that widow in London, when she peeps through her window and she sees something abnormal, she immediately gives information to the police. So please, I think we should all join hands in protecting our state and our infrastructure. We will collate, I promise that we are going to collate all the suggestions, and in our usual manner, pass them on to the Federal Executive Council. What we do normally at the end of every town hall meeting like this, that we present a council note to the President so that the relevant ministries will know exactly what is being asked of them here, and we will do that as soon as we get back to Abuja. The National Orientation Agency will also continue to sensitize and engage stakeholders, especially citizens, to own and protect the critical infrastructure in their states. Though this town hall meeting concludes the 3 town hall meeting series across in respect of wanton destruction of public infrastructure, our job of sensitizing Nigerians on this issue will continue. Following a question by His Excellency, the representatives of the Minister of Power said that the ministry has 3 ways to feed Maiduguri with electricity. I think this is good news, and I hope that the 3 ways can be exploited soon, so that the good people of Borno State, especially Maiduguri and its borough, can get a much-needed relief. Before I end this wrap-up, I want to appeal to our traditional institutions to leverage their closeness to the people at the grassroots to help us fish out these vandals so that they can be brought to justice. Finally, I want to most sincerely commend the resilience of His Excellency and indeed the good people of Borno State, who have endured the hardships brought by the destruction of power infrastructure, and especially the pain being inflicted by the terrorists. I'm very confident that with the resilience of the people of Borno, in a very short while, we are going to overcome what we see today as very serious challenges of terrorists. The fact of the matter is that the governor has refused to leave the state. The governor has continued, and even sometimes at the risk to his own personal life, he has continued to visit all trouble spots. He has continued to engage with the people, and he has continued to give the people of Borno State hope. And I think this is very important. We commend you for this. Other people could have taken another alternative. They could have relocated to Abuja. From Abuja, be sending things, be sending messages. But no, there's hardly no day, no week I don't follow His Excellency into nooks and crannies of Borno State, where they have no food. He would immediately order for food. And this is what has given confidence to the people of Borno State. And I'm glad that Mr. President appreciates this, and he will continue to give you all the support you need. On this note, once again, I can thank His Excellency and the people of Borno State, enough all traditional rulers here, religious leaders here, all stakeholders. I think we have succeeded in our mission, which is to bring to the front burner the issue of infrastructure, vandalization in Borno State in the northeast in Nigeria. But I think we have gained much more than what we came for. We've learned more about Borno State today. We've now even learned to respect more the people of Borno State for what they stand for and the determination to overcome the temporary challenges. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor, distinguished Senator, Ministers of the Federal Republic, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We're rounding up now, and I'd like to invite the Honorable Commissioner, Home Affairs, Information and Culture, Borno State, Babakura Abajato, to come forward.
From the words of the chief organizer of this town hall meeting to address vandalization of power and telecommunications infrastructure, the Honorable Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, who in his submissions rounded off that there's hope for Borno State because government has gained a lot of input that will set agenda for power infrastructure protection in Borno State.
Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Borno State, Honorable Umar Usman, distinguished Senator Sankara, who is ably representing the President of the Senate, Federal Republic
On behalf of the outside broadcasting crew,
our brother,
I, Muhammad Ibrahim, encourage you to continue enjoying other programs on the largest television network in Africa,
equally,
the NTA.
The Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture, our own Alhaji Mustafa Baba Shori, former Governor of Borno State, Alhaji Ashek Jarma, the Speaker of Borno State House of Assembly, members of the Borno State Executive Council, His Royal Highness the Shehu of Borno and other Royal Highnesses here present. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol already established. My job is very simple. I was asked to come and say the board of thanks. I would have said thank you and stand down. But for the caliber of people that are in here, I think it is worthwhile for us to recognize and accept that they have contributed fully to the success of this onerous town hall meeting, the second of its kind in Borno State. First and foremost, our gratitude goes to the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, for the leadership and the guidance, and of course approving this town hall meeting to be held in Maiduguri here, basically on the destruction or vandalization of infrastructure facilities that goes with the power line as well as communication equipment. Equally, to our untiring governor, who has been giving us the leadership required for us to keep on going this fight against all odds. We all know that we have been without electricity supply for the last 9 months or so, but unrelenting. And he has done so much in that field to restore electricity supply. Our gratitude also goes to the representative of the Ministers of Communication and Digital Economy, the representative of the Ministry of Power, TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria, all other people that came in along with the governor, including members of the broadcast team, the DG FRCN, the GZ NTA, the DG National Orientation Agency, and the DG Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, as well as our royal father, who is led by no other person than His Royal Highness the Sheikh of Borno, who is also here with us. There are too many to mention. All I can say is that thank you very much for being part of this great event, and we hope and pray that Allah Almighty will return everybody home safely. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, everything has a beginning and also an end. We are now coming to the end of this town hall meeting. My name is Peter Dama. I have led the anchoring group. I have with me Mr. Samson Makanjola, my colleague in the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, and in one of yours, Mr. Lanre Obadiah, who is the official MC of the state that all joined in anchoring this program. We apologize in case of any mistake, but we enjoy your attention and we look forward once again for meeting with you on some other occasions. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, can we all now stand for the national anthem? Once more, thank you. Please, for those of us, can we remain seated while His Excellency takes his leave with our Royal Highness
viewers,
and then the
we
Honorable
have
Ministers
come
and the Prime Minister.
to the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture organized town hall meeting to address vandalization of power and telecommunications infrastructure
just been announced, please
held here
let us
at the multipurpose hall
exercise
government house.
decorum by allowing His Excellency the Executive Governor, the Deputy Governor, the Ministers, and their Royal Highnesses
enjoin
to
you
please
to
depart
continue enjoying
from
other
the
programs
first row.
on the
All
largest
others
television
can
network
use the
in
back
Africa, the
exit.
NTA.
Thank you
Good
for
day.
coming. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
NTA, You can't beat the rich.
I'm sorry, Aisha. The coronavirus is still in town.
You seriously will not play with us again? Please don't be ridiculous, Lara. Life is back to normal.
But people are still getting sick and even dying from COVID-19.
Lara is right.
So, what should we do? We must wash our hands regularly with soap under running water for at least 20 seconds. To help us remember, let's sing Happy Birthday song twice to an imaginary friend. Whenever we're outdoors, we must keep at least 6 feet distance from the next person. The farther, the better. You must wear a face mask whenever we're outside. And if you must cough or sneeze, flex your elbow or use a tissue paper and dispose of it properly. And please, guys, stay at home if you don't need to go out.
But it's boring staying indoors all day. This is not fair.
Kanayo, how will you feel picking up the virus while playing outdoors and infecting mom, dad, and siblings?
You're right, Lara. It's not worth it.
Hey guys, let's form a squad called Operation Run Out Coronavirus. We will practice all the preventive measures put in place by officials and encourage everyone around us to do the same.
Roger that!